Hello guys, can you check my audio whether I can able to hear? Can you confirm in chat whether I can able to hear or not? Okay, fine. So do you hear any disturbances? No, right? Okay, let's quickly understand about Spring Boot workshop now. So make sure guys, yeah, we have already completed Angular, right? So on top of it, we need to for next sessions we need to integrate with APIs. From Angular to APIs we need to integrate, so that this session is mostly concentrate on backend side. Okay, how we will create the API and 100 feet overview of API, what is the API, and how we will create some sample API using Spring Boot application. Okay, so this session is quick workshop, so don't expect like more theoretical things, right? So we will quickly go and create the application. So if we have any doubts, so we'll try to um, understand. Okay, those stuff I will try to clarify those things. Okay, um just a second. So yeah, before going to start, we'll see about our agenda of our today's session. So we are trying to see like what is the prerequisite of Spring Boot API development, and what are all the tools required to install and start our project, right? Then we'll see about the project creation, how we will create the Spring Boot project by using a wide variety of techniques using IDEs, or we can use like some web Spring initializer. So we can see how many types and how we will create the project Spring Boot project by using Spring initializer. And then we'll see understand about REST API overview. So we'll understand about the what is the API and what is the REST API and what are all the methods we are going to use in our Spring Boot application. Then we'll see about the project technical architecture. So how many components we have, we already done in J2E architecture, right? Advanced Java, we are using Advanced Java. We have created a lot of applications earlier. Same way, we are trying to now from here onwards we are moving into microservices architecture. So earlier we have done in monolithic architecture. It means everything is in one folder or one project. But now we are dividing entire project into multiple smaller pieces. That is called microservices. So now when compared to J2E architecture, that is entirely different, right? So we'll understand about the technical architecture now, and we'll try to see if you have any questions. We'll understand too. We'll try to clarify those things. Okay, so now prerequisite and tools. What are the tools we require to develop the this microservice? Okay, so for yeah, we are trying to create one microservice. Like we have user mr1 vro, right, in Angular. So we are trying to create like user part first. Okay, user microservice. So once the backend got complete, so we'll try to integrate that user part in Angular. Okay, so what are all the prerequisite now? Okay, so you should familiar with core Java, at least basics, and Oracle basics like CRUD operations, creating table, updating the table, and retrieving the table like select query, and delete the table. Okay, so earlier we have used like JDBC. There we are trying to write JDBC like SQL queries, right? So now we'll see the beauty of the Spring Boot and data JPA. So no need to worry about to create the queries and connectivity logic. Okay, will everything will taken care by Spring Boot itself. Okay, we'll understand how the difference between like JDBC and here ORM framework. then yeah, that is the best thing. Like if you watch like J2EE end-to-end project development workshop in our channel, so that would be good. You can able to understand like how complex it is and how easy when compared to J2EE WebMVC architecture, right? So as part of the tools, we need JDK greater version of 8, 8.x, and MySQL. I am using MySQL, so whatever database you want, you can use. Okay, like either Oracle or MySQL, anything else. So for here, I'm trying to use like MySQL database, and the IDE is STS and Eclipse IDE. Then for build tool, I am using Maven. Okay, we have two build tools, Maven and Gradle. So I am using Maven. So I will explain how we will develop the project by using Maven here. Okay, so yes, we need like other tools also, Postman and other tools. So probably we'll try to understand about those tools in next session. Okay, I'm not sure how much time it will take, so probably I will try to explain you how retrieving part and yeah, most probably retrieving part I will try to explain here. So we'll understand about creating and updating part in next session. Okay, so see about project creation, how we will create the project, Spring Boot project, by using Spring Initializer. Okay, just open your browser, web browser. Okay, just type Spring Initializer. Okay, you will get first link like start.spring.io. You just go to inside it, and here you have to select the project structure. Okay, so what type of project you are going to choose? So here I'm selecting Maven, since I'm using Gradle tool as a build tool as a Maven. So I am selecting Maven here. Okay, so the language is Java and Spring Boot version. So by default it is selected as 3.0.2. So just keep it as it is, and you can give like your package name, like your group name. So com.funnysofttech dot. So what is our project name? So I am trying to create user microservice, right? So that I have added like project name as user. Okay, then artifact, it means project name, you can give simple user, and here description. Okay, user microservice, and the package name. So our package name starts with package name com.pst.user.user. So two users are coming here, right? So probably you can remove this. Okay, group means your organization name, and artifact is your project name, so that your package will display like com.pst.user. Okay, so the building package is selecting as a jar, since it is a core Java application. So we don't include here web application part, as we see in like J2E development, right? So this is like core Java application. We cannot include this web part, like HTML and JSPC is not part of this application. Okay, only core Java things only part of this application development. Okay, so the Java version, okay, whatever you are going to use and whatever the Java is installed in your system, so you will select that version here. Okay, so let me see what version is there in my system. So go to command prompt and type Java hyphen v, Java hyphen version. Okay, my version is 19.0.2. So I recently upgraded the version. So if you are trying to upgrade, just upgrade it, or if you have like 88 plus, Java 8 or greater than 8, so that is enough. Okay, you can choose the corresponding version. So I am using 19, right? So that I have clicked 19 version. Okay, then another step is, since we are using WebMVC framework, right? So that we need to add jars here. Okay, this is a wonderful feature which is coming from Spring Boot. In earlier in J2E, if you want to add any jar file, I mean, we need to go to the web and download the jar, and we need to add it in lib folder, right? But here Maven will take care everything. Okay, so what are all the jars we need? For example, we since we are going to use Spring Web MVC, so we need like Spring Boot Dev Tools, and click add dependencies and Spring Web. Okay, so here's a build web including RESTful application using Spring MVC, uses Apache Tomcat as default embedded containers, so that I'm using like Spring Web as a parent. So these two dependencies I have added here. So based on these two starters, so this what are all the included libraries, those everything will download automatically, so no need to worry about it. Okay, no need to worry about like okay, when we see like historical Spring framework, if you want to download the jar, for example, if you want to implement WebMVC, so you have to download like few minimum 5 to 10 jars. That too, every jar need to maintain same version. If you change one version, then you may face like conflicts. So this is the major conflict when we use like historical Spring. So when we use Spring Boot, we just pass like starter. If you pass starter, then automatically it will take care to download all the dependencies and cyclic dependencies. No need to worry about the versions and all. Okay, so as of now I have give like Spring Boot DevTools and Spring Web. Then after that you just click generate. Okay, if you generate it, it will download as a zip file here. So go to that folder and copy this zip file, or cut the zip file. So wherever your workspace or your folder you have, so go to there and just paste it there. Okay, so let me, so here we have workshops, right? So workshop folder, so I'm trying to create new one, like Spring Boot workshop 1. Okay, so here I'm going to paste my application. So extract here. Okay, extracted. I will delete this zip file. And then here our project is there, but if you want you can create. Okay, I will create two folders here, workshop workspace. Okay, workspace, and here actual our project. Okay, so now the another things, next step is you have to install STS. Okay, I already uploaded video of STS installation, STS ID installation. So if you want, you can go and check that video, or you can just simply use in web like download STS. Okay, then you will get okay, STS IDE. So you will get spring.io, so tools, from there you can download the STS site. Okay, so Spring Tools 4, right? So here you can select the corresponding version and you can download that. Okay, or if you have Eclipse also, that's not an issue. So we can install the STS plugin over the Eclipse. So that is also I have included in that video, so you can check out the video if you don't know how to install and how to download the STS tool. Okay, so once you install the STS, you will get one zip file. If you extract the zip file, you will get this folder, STS folder. Okay, STS 4.4.2 release. If you open it, so you will get this executable file, Spring Toolsuit 4.exe. Okay, you just double click on it, so it will open. So this is also similar to Eclipse IDE. And okay, you can choose your workspace here. So where is our workspace? So browse it under the Funny Soft Tech workshop, Spring Boot workshop on workspace. So I am selecting this workspace, this folder. Okay, select folder and hit launch. Okay, so STS is open now, and you can create. Okay, we have already project, so no need to create the project. We just want to import the project. Okay, file, you can find import here, import. Okay, so which project we are selecting? Build tool as Maven, right? So you have to select Maven as a build tool. Maven. So here you can click existing Maven project. Okay, browse it, then select your project root folder, select folder. So whenever you select the folder, so you will able to see the pom.xml here. So this is the heart of the project. So entire project related configuration, everything available inside the pom.xml. Okay, then hit finish. Now if you see here, the importing Maven project is started. Along with that, what are all the jars dependencies required? So all jars need to download here. Okay, import is done. So this is the project architecture we have. Okay, this is the pom.xml. If you open this pom.xml, okay, let me increase the font. Colors and fonts, basic, text font, edit. So you will select Consolas and your favorite font style and font size. Okay, so I am selecting 14 Consolas. Okay, apply, apply and close. Okay, so now we'll see about the pom.xml here. So here if you see like entire project configuration is available in pom.xml, so no need to modify anything as of now. Only we are concentrating on dependencies section. Okay, if you see here, this is the parent, our project. Okay, so this is coming with Spring Boot starter parent, and the version is 3.0.2, whatever we have selected while downloading the project. So same version it is displaying here. And then our project information, our group id is com.pst, and artifact id is user, like project name is user, and the version. Okay, so since this is the first time, right, first time development, right, so that it is giving 0.0.1 snapshot. If you want to modify, and if you change, if you add any other feature, you have to modify this version 0.0.2, something like that. Okay, then project name is user, and we have we gave description here, and the Java version is 19. Okay, you don't want to change any configuration here. Okay, except this dependencies, so we need to play around this dependencies section. Okay, so see here, under the dependencies we are giving one dependency with group id and artifact id. So here we are providing like group id. Okay, so group id means the organization which the vendor which they provided the dependencies, like jar files. So here arc.springframework.boot, and we are selecting Spring Boot starter web. Okay, same way we are using like DevTools, Spring Boot DevTools. Okay, this is also coming from Spring Framework.boot. Okay, so if you want to check the dependencies, you can check here like Maven dependencies folder, expand here, and you can able to see all the jar files like Spring Boot starter web, Spring Boot starter. So lot of jars you can see, like, okay, log4j we have, and Jakarta annotation we have, database connectivity, and Spring Boot starter, Jackson. So these are all. If you want to use like without using Maven, you have to download this all jar files by your own. Okay, see, version compatibility also matter here. Okay, for example, Spring Web, it is taking 6.x, right? Tomcat embedded is 10.x. If you use like Spring Web is like 6.x and Tomcat is 9.x, it may not work. Okay, this everything you have to taken care when we go for like your historical Spring application. So this is the beauty of Spring Boot. This is a wonderful feature like dependency management. Okay, we just add the parent like Spring Boot starter web. Okay, then automatically web related dependencies, everything it will download automatically. Okay, no need to worry about the version and the dependencies and cyclic dependencies, right? So these are all the dependencies automatically downloaded by Maven by taking reference of pom.xml and this dependency tags. Okay. Okay, that's good. So I hope you can see here the project, it's not showing any red color error, so that your project is ultimately successfully imported without errors. Okay, so if you have any errors, maybe we have to resolve it. So if you get any errors, please let me know, we'll help you to resolve it. Okay, so okay, we'll strictly go ahead and see next section. So project creation done using Spring Data IO. Okay, then we'll see about the REST API. Okay, what is REST API and what is the API here? Okay, just a quick understanding, so don't go for like deep dive into that. So just for high level API is nothing but, as we know, API is nothing but application programming interface, so which is having some wrapping the data over it, so we can communicate one this API with another APIs, okay, another applications. Okay, so what it mentioned, like an application programming interface is a way for two or more computer programs to communicate with each other. It is a type of software interface offering a service to other piece of software maintain growth. Just understand, it's a like smaller piece of project. Okay, it provides several features for adding and deleting and updating and retrieving part. So this is like API. So for example, user service. So user service is offers the features like four features: adding user, removing user, deleting user, and selecting all users. Okay, these four features is provided by user service, that is called one API. Okay, just high level understanding. Then if we see REST API, will as we discussed, one application and communicate with another application irrespective of technology and irrespective of operating system. Okay, so REST comes into picture here. So this is called interoperability. So REST provides interoperability. Interoperability means, yeah, irrespective of operating system and irrespective of technology, we can able to communicate with another applications, like multiple applications. Okay, so we'll see how we will communicate by using REST endpoints. Then when comes to HTTP methods, we have four methods, as we know in J2EE development, like get, post, put and delete. Okay, get method we can use for retrieving the data, and post method we can use like storing or saving the data into the server or database, and put we can use like updating the data or updating the record inside the database, and delete we can delete the record or delete the data from the server. Okay, so these are all the main HTTP methods we are going to use. Okay, then we'll see about the project design. So as we discussed earlier, for Angular is comes as a client side application. Okay, so now we are mostly focusing on server side. We have three components: one is controller, another one is service, another one is repository or DAO layer. Okay, so controller, we are trying to use REST controller, whereas in J2EE we are using servlet as a controller, right? But here we are using REST controller. Okay, this is plain core Java classes, so no need to worry about any advanced Java components. Okay, everything is core Java stuff only. We can able to create real-time or enterprise application by using core Java components. Okay, now we'll see how our J2E entire architecture will convert into smaller or simple way of architecture design. So this is we are using in real-time industries. Okay, so you will understand like how it's simpler when compared to JTE architecture. Okay, so controller we have, and service layer we can use service, and repository we are using service repository. So there are three POJO classes, core Java classes, which is annotated with at REST controller and at service and at repository. Okay, so we'll see in while creating the controller and service and repository now. So this is the server side. Once we complete these three components and make it as exposed as a service, then any client application can communicate with this service, user service. Like Angular web application can able to communicate, React JS application can able to communicate, .NET application can able to communicate, and even mobile apps, Android apps and iOS apps also can able to communicate with our service. That is the beauty of REST service. Okay, so let's see how we will create this. So, and make sure we have like few annotations you have to buttify as of now, because of you don't know about the basics, right? So we are trying to use these annotations. Okay, REST controller and our four methods like put mappings, get mappings, and post mappings, delete mappings. Okay, and auto white for dependency injection, and REST controller. Okay, so these annotations mostly we are using as part of the controller design, and for service design we are maximum using like service and auto white. Then repository we are trying to use repository and query annotations. So query also not required now. Yeah, we'll try to use. And then entity, we have entity table ID, generated value, and column annotations we are going to use. Okay, make sure you can take screenshot, or you can note it down this annotation. So we will try to use these annotations in your application now. Okay, next we'll see and create our project. So this is the Maven project we have imported here. Okay, if you see the architecture and folder structure of this project, we have src main java, src main resources, src test java. Okay, these are all the three folders here. So here src main java we are trying to add our actual java files, and resources we need to add any resources files. Okay, so under this resources we have application.properties file. So here if you want to change any properties, any database related properties, so you have to add it inside the application.properties file. Okay, this is the important file here. And if you want to add any java, our actual java code, you have to keep it inside the src main java. Okay, if you want to add any JUnit test cases or integration test cases related testing related stuff, you have to add it inside the src test java. Okay, see, whenever we download the project, it is comes with like main application, user application.java, user service. Since we are using user service, it's starting with user application.java. Here we have public static void main method. So have you observed when compared to J2GG application development, you never saw this main method, right? But here this is we are creating application using core Java. Everything is core Java related things. Okay, so that we have like this is the starter point. Okay, starter point of the our project execution, so that we have public static void main. Okay, by default it is annotated with Spring Boot application, and we are trying to bootstrap from this main method. Okay, spring application dot run user application dot class, so arguments. So this is the main method. So whenever you are trying to run our application, you have to run it from here. Okay, yes. So this is the folder structure. So all Java files we have to keep it inside the com.pst.user, sorry, src main Java folder. And if you want to add it any web application, or like any images, or something, so you have to keep it inside the resources folder. So resources is compared with like web apps folder in J2GG file. Okay, I hope you understand about this folder structure. Okay, so let's get and create one controller now. So right click on the src main Java, new class. So you can take package as user.controller, and the name is user controller. Okay, hit finish. So our Pojo class is created now. So we want to tell this Pojo class is act as a Spring controller. So we need to tell to the Spring this class takes as a controller. How we will tell? By using annotation REST controller. Okay, REST controller. Can you see? You can able to see here REST controller, which is coming from arc.springframework.web.bind.annotation. Okay, so if it is not coming means, so your Maven is not able to download the dependencies, so you have to refresh the project, or you have to investigate the issue behind the Maven side. Okay, so now all dependencies is downloaded by my Maven. So you can able to see here under the Maven dependencies, all dependencies are available, so that I can able to access this REST controller from the suggestions. Okay, so REST controller is done. I'm trying to create one method, public void, like get user, simply. Okay, I'm trying to return one string hello. Okay, string, return type is string. So simply I have created one method. Okay, now I need to expose this method as a API. Okay, so we are getting the user, right? So that we need to use like get API. So how we will expose this method as a API? Use annotation like get mapping. Okay, if you see here, get mapping, and open brace close brace. If you want to expose this method by using URL, you can add that URL here, like I am using get hyphen user. Okay, save it. That's all. One API is created. This is get API, get user API. So let me test this API whether this is working or not. So for testing, you will go to your main application file, like wherever the public static void main is there, you just go to there and right click the project, run as Spring Boot app. Application failed to start. So you see here, sometimes you will get this error because of when you were local, this 8080 port already in use. Okay, now you have to change the port in your application, Spring Boot application. Okay, how you will change the port in Spring Boot application? So simply you can go to application.properties file. Okay, here you have to mention your port by using spring, sorry, I think server dot port. Okay, server dot port, so I am using 7000. So this service, this entire user service will try to run inside the 7000 port now. So save it, then again go to your main file, main application file, run as Spring Boot app. Okay, so see here, so no need to add any Tomcat server also. Automatically Spring Boot having the Tomcat dependency. So Tomcat server, it coming with as part of the this jars. If you see here, Tomcat embed, right? So no need to worry about like download the Tomcat server as we earlier J2E development. So that bloody stuff also not required here. So Spring Boot will taking care everything, even server downloading and mapping also. Okay, just provide the port number, then automatically it will hit the port and build the package and run inside the Tomcat server. Okay, if you see here, embedded Tomcat web server starts on port 7000. So this is also one of the important feature in Spring Boot. Okay, one is the dependency management is very easy and production ready application development. Another one is embedded Tomcat server, so no need to add any external servers. Automatically Tomcat server comes with as part of Spring Boot application itself. Okay, so now how we will test, how we will run, and how we will see the output of this API user controller, right? So this is the API URL. So if you hit this URL, you will get the output, whatever you are trying to return here, that output will come. Okay, so let's see. Open your browser, http colon double slash localhost and your port number 7000 slash, and what is the URL here? Get user. Control C, paste it here and hit enter. You can able to see output here. Okay, So our API and Spring Boot application is up and run now. Now we'll see the add-ons of it. The next thing is database connectivity. How we will connect the database and how we will fetch the data from the database. Okay, we'll see now. So go to your any database like Oracle or MySQL. So I'm trying to use MySQL here since I installed MySQL. Guys, still here any doubts? Sunil, Sheikh, Abid, hi. Any doubts still here? Good morning. Can you comment it if you have any doubts? So I have opened my SQL York. So I have installed this graphical user interface. Okay. So if you want, you can open like if you don't like GUI, if you don't this GUI tool, you just hit run SQL command line once you install the MySQL. Okay, you just click run SQL command line, so you can try to create the tables and everything from this command line itself, SQL command line. Okay, so since I have the SQL Yog community edition UI and also I am using 5.x MySQL 5.x version, so from there I am directly create the database and tables in graphical user interface. Okay, so I'm trying to create new database here. So we are trying to create user service, right? So that I am trying to use user as my database name. User is created. So inside it we need to create the table. Right click on the user database and create table. So in table I am using user ID, so which is int type since it is a number, int length not required, and I am using primary key for this ID. Okay, and then name of the user, this is a string type like varchar in MySQL, whereas in Oracle it is varchar 2. Okay, int is replaced with number in Oracle. The length is I'm giving 13, and then username user underscore name, and then since it is also string, right? So varchar I am choosing, this is also username, I can keep it 13, and then password varchar 30, and then phone underscore number. Okay, see the standards, guys. So here you have to use underscore symbol here. Okay, if you have like more than 2 syllabic codes, you have to use underscore as part of the column. Since it is a column, so as part of the table creation you have to use underscore symbol if it is a more than, okay, 1 syllabic. So phone number also you can take varchar, and you can select like 15 as a size. Then after your columns done, just hit create table. Okay, your table name is user, so database name is user as well as table name also user. Okay, hit open. So table created successfully. Okay, so select star from user. Okay, no records is available now. Let me see description of the table. Okay, this is the description. Now we need to map. Okay, is port number 7000 is fixed? No, whatever you want you can add it. So 7000 is not fixed. Where I mean whatever port you are comfortable, you can add it, that number. This is just like a number. Okay, and yeah, description, this is the description of the table. We have 5 fields with integer and remaining is varchar. Okay, so we'll see how we will connect this database to our Java application. Spring Boot application, how we will connect. Okay, so whereas in J2E development we are using JDBC, plain JDBC, right? So now see the magic how this ORM framework is communicate with Java, Java with our MySQL database. Okay, so that we need to go with model classes now. So first we need to create one model class. First step, guys, don't confuse little I think little confusion things, you have to note it down and you have to follow these steps. You can easily connect the database. Okay, so create model class now. Model class or entity class is nothing but the same whatever the table we have in the MySQL or Oracle. Okay, same structure you have to mention as part of the Java, like, okay, so whatever the table name we have in the SQL, the table name when comes to Java it is comes as a class name. Okay, whatever the fields available inside the MySQL database table, these fields when comes to Java we can call it as a, we can create as a variables. Okay, let's see how we will create. And see here, as part of the entity, what are all the annotations we are going to use: at the rate entity, at the rate table, at the rate id, generated value, and column, at the rate column annotations. Okay, same annotations we are going to use in our entity class designing now. So go to src main Java and create one package, right click, new. Okay, so class, my package name is com.pst.user dot model or entity, anything you can take, and our entity is user entity. So this entity class, make sure guys, this is represent your table structure. Okay, so user entity is created. Since it is a entity, you just want to tell to the Spring this is this Pojo class as entity, so that we need to use entity annotation. By adding entity annotation, you are going to tell to the Spring this Pojo class is acts as a entity. Okay, so control space entity. Okay, see here entity is not available because of we don't add any database connectivity related dependencies here. Okay, so now you have to add database connectivity dependency to your application. How you are going to add? See now, so where you are going to add? Inside the pom.xml, right? Go to here and add one dependency like this. So which dependency we are going to add? Since we are using Spring Boot, we have by default database connectivity support as Spring Data JPA. So we would want to add Spring Boot Data JPA. We need this artifact ID or group ID. Okay, how we will do that? How we will check? I mean, the artifact ID and group ID. Go to Maven repository here. Type Maven repository in Google. Hit the first link which is coming in Google and search here like Spring Data JPA. Hit enter so that you can able to find Spring Data JPA. Okay, which is coming with two things. This is the group ID and this is the artifact ID. Okay, so you can take one existing dependency structure, control C, control V. So here as part of the group ID arc.springframework.data, right? arc.springframework.data. So group ID and artifact ID Spring Data JPA. Control C and you can replace here. Control V. I can add it. So before going to download this, you just see here there is no Spring Data JPA jars here. Okay, if you can if you can find, there is no Spring Data JPA jars inside the Maven dependency folder. So now I am trying to hit Control S. Whenever I save the application, automatically this dependency is downloaded, and related dependencies, cyclic dependencies also downloaded automatically. Control S. If you can see here, building the project automatically and download the dependencies. Okay, it's pretty much speed. It's downloaded and restart the server as well. Okay, It's a fraction of seconds it is taking. So we'll see whether our Spring Boot data JPA jars are available or not. See here, Spring Data JPA 3.0.1 and Spring Data Commons. So all related dependencies is downloaded automatically whenever you have you added this dependency in Maven. That is the beauty of Maven projects. Okay. So now dependency is available. Now go to entity and we'll try to add entity annotation. We'll see whether it is available or not. Entity. Entity. Okay. Let control S. Entity scan is coming. Okay, let me refresh the project. Stop. If you want to, this jars is not reflected to here. You just refresh the project by using user, go to Maven, update project. Okay, then it is updating the project and again building the workspace. Now see whether annotation is available or not. Entity scan. Okay. Table. Okay, maybe version maybe mismatched. Okay, we'll try to fix this. So go to your Maven repository and see Spring Data module for JPA, Spring Boot starter. Okay, sorry. We are using Spring Data JPA. This is not correct. We need to use Spring Boot starter data JPA. So that which is coming because of whenever you are using starter, then automatically cyclic difference is coming into comes and download into your project. Okay. Since you are downloading Spring Data JPA alone, some Hibernate jars and Jakarta jars are missing. Okay, so that we are not able to using this entity. Okay, persistency framework. So earlier we are using persistency API, so now it is changing into Jakarta API. So Jakarta jars are missing because of we are using Spring Data JPA. So this is not correct. Our correct dependency is Spring Boot starter data JPA starter. Okay, just mind it, make sure. We'll see. So latest version is 3.0.2 and I'm trying to copy this. So replace your existing Spring Boot data JPA jar with this group ID, Control V, and our artifact Spring Boot starter data JPA. Or you can see here the entire structure. Whatever the version you want, for example 3.0 3.0.2 you want to see, you want to download, just hit that and you can select Maven Gradle. Gradle means it generates the code and everything like SPT, EV, grape. Okay, so we are using Maven, right? Hit the Maven, then automatically this dependency artifact automatically generated by Maven itself. Just copy it and replace here. Okay, simply. So this is another way you can add it. So I can take it from here. Spring Boot starter data JPA. If you won't provide any version, then automatically it is downloading latest version. Okay, if you want to specify the version, you have to add version tag like this. Okay, here you can able to see version, but I don't want to provide any version, so automatically it will provide the latest version. So it is building and downloading the new one now. New jars. Okay, downloading completed. So we'll see Jackson Spring Boot starter JSON. Here see Jakarta annotations, Jakarta annotation.api. So this entity and every related annotations is comes as part of the Jakarta jar. Okay, Jakarta API. And we have Spring Boot starter data type data JPA. Okay, Spring Boot starter data JPA 3.0.2. Okay, all jars are available now. Now we'll try whether entity is available or not at the rate. Let me save it. Okay, here see import entity Jakarta.persistence. Here see entity is coming from Jakarta.persistence API. Okay, you can use entity. So now Spring is know this particular Pojo class acts as a entity. Now we need to map, the mapping will happen now. We need to make this user class as a table. How we will do that? Using table annotation. Okay, table which is also coming from Jakarta.persistence. Okay, use table annotation and open place, close place. So here we have to add the name of your table. So one thing here, your table name and class name both are similar, so no need to add this table annotation. I mean the name inside the table annotation name, you don't want to you don't need to provide the name. Okay, but in our case table name is user, our class name is user entity, both are different, right? So that manually we have to map this user entity is going to map with user table. Okay, so the table sorry, here we have to use name is equals to user. Okay, so now user entity is mapped with user table. Okay, this is fine. Now columns, we have to add table columns. How many columns we have? 5 columns: id, name, username, password, phone number. So take these columns and create as a attributes here, private. So id there we have selected as integer, so here int or long, you can take as wrapper classes long. And id same column name, private string name, there we have mentioned like varchar. As part of the Java we are using string. Okay, private string username, right? User underscore name, just let it be, we'll modify later. Private string, so another one, password and phone number. Password, private string phone number, phone underscore number. Okay, now these are all the columns in the table. But here if you can see, the username is different. Okay, let it be as of now. First of all we'll see about the id column. Okay, so this id is acts as a primary key inside the MySQL. Correct, this is the primary key column. Same, this primary key also we need to map in our entity class. How we will map as a primary key? Just use id annotation. Id which is coming from Jakarta.persistence framework, just use @id on top of the long id. Okay, next this id I don't want to, whenever I'm going to store the data to the user table, I don't want to add this id manually, so automatically it will increment. Whereas in Oracle we tried like sequence. Okay, we have used sequence, right? Whereas in MySQL we are going to use identity or auto increment. Okay, so that since we are using MySQL we need to use auto increment by using identity. Okay, for that what we have to do, that's what generate value annotation comes into picture. So here see generated value which is coming from Jakarta.persistence value. So inside it generation generator is equals to generator, no it's not a generator. Okay, strategy, we need to use strategy is equals to, now we have to use enum generation type dot. So there are like multiple auto generation things here, like auto identity, sequence, table, UUID. So if you are going to use Oracle database, you have to use sequence. Since we are using MySQL database, we are going to use like identity. Okay, so I am using identity. So this line is represent as a auto increment. Whenever you are going to store the record into the user database, so ID, it will automatically, it will increment by 1. Okay, that is what we have mapped here. Okay, fine. So now ID part is completed. Now these are all the columns. So we need to tell to the Spring this variable is mapped or acts as a column which is inside the user table. Okay, make sure guys, if that table name and variable name both are similar, no need to worry about it, and no need to add any annotations and any configuration. That's fine, you just simply ignore it. But here see, user underscore name, as per the Java standards, how the naming convention of variables, it will be camel case, right? So this is not recommended. Now the underscore is not recommended as part of the variable creation, correct? So that you have to change to camel case. Okay, fine. Now see, user name, in the username, n is capital, u is small, but when we see the column name of username, user underscore name, everything is small, so that it is not mapping here. Okay, so that you have to tell to the Spring, wherever you found username variable, you need to map this username to the user underscore name column, so that at the rate column annotation comes into picture. Okay, at the rate column which is coming from jakarta.persistence, open brace, close brace, here you have to mention name of the column manually is equals to user underscore name. Okay, so fine. Password is similar, same one, so no need to worry about the password and name. And when we see phone number also we need to change as a Java variable, and we explicitly add and define the column name of this phone number. Name is equals to phone underscore number. That's all. Then entity is created successfully. So this is the entity configuration. So just take a screenshot or note it down. So these are all the main annotations we are going to use the configuration. This is one time configuration. Okay, once you configure this entity, so now development side, everything is make it easy. Okay, once this entity completed, then you have to go for create service and repository. So any questions here? Entity creation and annotations on high level, just please let me know if you have any questions on this. Okay, let's meanwhile go and create service and repository layers. So same src main Java, right click on it, click new class, com dot pst dot user dot service. Okay, user service, user service is created, and at the same time we need repository, right? Right click on the project, new, another class, the package name is com dot pst dot user dot repository or DAO, anything is fine. So if you are aware of J2EE project development, so you may understand this MVC pattern. I don't want to discuss about, I don't want to explain MVC again, because of it is already available and backup also uploaded in our channel, so just go and see. Okay, so user repository or DAO, if you want you can make it as a DAO, user.dao. Okay, so here name would be user service, since it is a user service, user repository user repository. Okay, hit finish. Okay, so if you want you can see the architecture. We have mainly three components, one is controller and service and repository, and from repository to DB we are using like entity as a model class. Okay, the main things are these three. Okay, controller already built, now service and repository we are trying to build. So in service, how we will tell to the Spring, since it is a POSIX class, how we will tell to the Spring this service, this POSIX class acts as a service. So that we need to add @service annotation on top of the class. And if you want to mention or declare the POSIX class to the repository, we need to tell to the Spring by adding the annotation @repository. Okay, these two annotations we need to add. So go to service, user service, and annotate the class. On top of the class you can annotate service. These are called stereotype annotations. So service is coming from arg.springframework.stereotype. Okay, then the Spring will recognize this POSIX class as a service layer or service class simply. Okay, same way repository also you can make it as, but here the twist is this is not a class. Normally in J2EE application development, in repository or DAO side, we need to add, or we have added a lot of JDBC logic and methods and conversion logics and result sets and prepare statements, lot of things, right? But here no need to write any logic inside the repository. Okay, see how the magic is happen. So instead of class you can make it as an interface. Okay, interface, and which is extends from CRUD repository, CRUD, CRUD repository, which is coming from our data JPA, CRUD repository. Okay, there here you have to mention what is the entity. It means table mapped class. What is our entity name? User entity, right? So we have to add user entity here, import it, and ID. What is the ID type inside the user entity? Here we are using long, right? So same thing you have to mention here, long. Okay, user entity long. Now you can add the annotation on top of it, repository. That's all. So since it is a interface, no need to add any methods with body inside the interface, user repository. Okay, so now Control Shift S, save it. Now if you try to run, okay, we'll try to run now application. Now see how many errors and how we will resolve those errors. We'll try to understand. Okay, till here I'm trying to run our application. So Spring Boot app, I don't want to create entire application. I want to make it errors and we'll resolve it, so that if we while developing or practicing you, if you face this type of errors, you can able to debug and resolve these errors. Okay, so now see what is the error now. Application fails to start, failed to configure data source URLs. So data source configuration is not available, but you are using entity classes and repositories like database related stuff you have added, but don't provide data source URLs like MySQL URLs and port and driver names. These things you are not providing. So how can I connect? That's what it is asking to us. So we need to provide database configuration now. Okay, we'll provide database configuration. So go to where you are going to provide the configuration inside the application.property file. So inside the SRC main resources, we have application.properties, right? So here you have to add database configuration, data source or database SOURCE config. Okay, so hash is nothing but this, since it is a property file, hash is acts as a comment here. Okay, so how we will do that? So we have provided Spring provided few things, how data source related stuff, keys, Spring dot data source dot URL. Okay, so what is the URL of MySQL? You know, if you have idea about the JDBC connectivity, you may aware of it. JDBC colon MySQL colon /localhost colon, the port is 3306 slash database name, user is our database name. Okay, same way Spring dot data source dot username. What is the database username? Root. Spring dot data source dot then password. What is your database password? So for my case it is funny. So whatever you are giving password in your database, you can add it here. Okay, if you are using like Oracle database, you have to use Oracle connectivity string and particular username and password, you have to add it. Okay, like Oracle means JDBC driver, right? Driver.jdbc driver, oracle.jdbc something we have. So that string you have to add it as part of the host URL and username and password. Okay, now we'll see. I'm just hitting the control S. I'm trying to run our application. We'll see what are all the errors is coming now. So Spring Boot. Okay, fail it to load driver class like com.mysql. Okay, so we have added the configuration, but where is the driver? When you develop in J2EE applications, we need to download the MySQL connector or OJDBC 14 jar, and we have to add it inside the lib folder. I hope you remember that. So now we need to do same stuff in Spring Boot as well. So how can we download the jar? Same way, go to Maven repository and search MySQL connector. Okay, it is coming from MySQL connector Java. So you can take this. Okay, go to the version. Since I am using 5.x, so I have to use like 5.1.39. If your version is greater, maybe you can try to use 8.x or something. But for my case, I am using 5.x, my MySQL version, so that I am trying to use the version which is part of this 5.x. Okay, so for example, I am selecting 5.1.31. So Maven, so just copy this artifact IDs, and where you are going to provide this artifact inside the pom.xml, right? So if you want, you can see here Maven dependencies. There is no MySQL connector here. PTM, there is no MySQL connector jar. So I'm going to pom.xml and add dependency. Control V. So this is the dependency. The group ID is MySQL, artifact ID MySQL connector Java, and the version I need to specify, because of if you don't want to specify, it will download the latest version. So that maybe it may not work with my database. So that I need to mention the version of the dependency. So Control S. So it will build and download the jar. So if you see Maven repository, it is downloading MySQL connector jar automatically. If you save the application, now see automatically the jar is deployed inside the Maven repository folder, MySQL connector Java 5.1.31. Okay, jar is ready. Now we need to map this jar connector to our driver class, right? How we will connecting the driver class? Spring dot data source data urc data source dot driver class name. So spring dot data source dot driver class name is equals to, so what is our driver class? Com dot mysql dot jdbc dot driver. So same step we have done in class dot for name in J2E development, as you may be aware of it. So now we just provide these stuffs in just configuration application dot property file. That's all. Okay, let me start the application. We'll see whether application is working or not. Run as Spring Boot app. Yes, now application is up and run. Okay, user application and embedded Tomcat server is started. Okay, our configuration is done. Database connectivity logic. So there is no part now. I mean JDBC logic and prepare statements and result set. There is nothing here. That's how our step is completed. So now see how we will retrieve the data from the database. So I'm trying to add a record to the database from MySQL. So ID is one, name I'm trying to add funny, and the username funny123, and the password funny123, and the phone number I'm trying to add something like this. Okay, so one record I have saved. Okay, sorry, it's not saved. Let me do it one more time. So one funny, and the username is funny123, password is funny123, and the phone number you can use like this, and save this data here, save changes. So now if you hit the query, it will display the one record, it will display this one record. Okay, now I want to retrieve this record from database by using Java, like Spring Boot. Okay, I will do that. So let me remove this all classes. So now see, based on this, now configuration stuff is completed. Just these three components only we are trying to modify. Okay, so first one is controller. From controller to, you have to create one API. From API you need to talk to database. Okay, so go to controller, your user controller, open the user controller. So I need to retrieve all users, right? So that public, as of now just make it as void, we don't know what is the written type of it. Void get all users, something I have added one method, get all users. Okay, I have created a method. Okay, let it be, we will expose this API later. Then go to second one. What is the second one? Service. Go to service, user service, and here I'm trying to create one method, same method, public void get users, or select fetch users, anything whatever it's convenient you can add it. Okay, get users. Okay, so I have created a method. Now repository, right? Since it is a interface, so no need to add any logic inside the user interface, user repository. So I just want to close this. Before that, by default, since we are extending from CRUD repository, so CRUD repository having predefined methods for CRUD. Okay, CRUD, for creation, retrieval, updation and deletion. So we will reuse those methods. Okay, so how we will do that? So that if you want to talk, or if you want to call the method which is inside the another class, how can we call those methods in another class? By using dependency or object creation, right? So now some method is there inside this repository, we need to call that method from service layer. So how can I do that? Now the first step is, you have to create the object of user repository class or interface. You have to create the object of user repository. By using that repository object, you need to call that particular method. Correct? So how can we do that? Normally in Java application or JTV development workshop, what we have to done normally, private, you will create your reference variable like this, user repository. Okay, just import it. Okay, now you have to create the object by using user repository dot the method which is inside of this method, like find all something. Oh, sorry, you have to create the object, right? Repository is equals to new user repository, something like this. We have to create normally, right? Once you get the object, by using new keyword you are trying to create the object, and once you get the object, you will try to call the method which is inside this repository, right? So now it's not required, since you are using Spring and Spring Boot, dependency injection comes into picture. So no need to create dependencies or objects manually by yourself. So Spring will taking care, this is also will taken care by Spring or Spring Boot. This is also one of the wonderful feature of Spring. Use @auto void. Okay, I have yes, I explained in previous spring class. I have explained it crystal clearly. So probably I will upload that video about the dependency injection in spring. So how the internal working of when we add auto void annotation, how the flow is working internally, how the objects is created by spring. So everything I have explained. So just comment it if you required. So probably I will upload that video also. So if you want to know about the backend process of auto void or dependency injection, probably I will upload that video also based on your confirmation or interest. Okay, now whenever we added auto void, automatically the object is created by spring and injected into this user repository variable. Okay, so no need to worry about to create the objects by using new keywords. Okay, so now you can directly communicate with user repository dot the method. By default available method is find all method. Okay, so find all means it is fetching all data and return to us. So I am using like return. The return type is iterable entity. So change method type. So iterable user entity. User entity is nothing but our table structure, right? Iterable user entity. Okay, fine, our service layer is done. And go to controller. Now we need to communicate, we need to call this method, right? So that we need to expose the API. So we need to create one more API like get all users. So this method inside the controller we need to call inside the this like get users method, which is inside the service. How can we call? By using same the object. So we need to create the object of user service. Since we are using spring framework, don't no need to create the object, whereas we can tell to spring create the object and provide to us so that we can use. Okay, how can we tell? By using dependency injection. Private user service, import the user service and user service reference variable. On top of it add auto void, so that spring will scan this class and create the object and keep it one container, that is called IOC container. And whenever we are trying to use this reference variable, automatically the spring will provide the dependency of it, right? So auto void, fine. Now object is available ready now, so we can call our service method user service start. What is the method name? Get users. So get users, simply return it. The return type void, right? Instead of void you can use iterable entity. Iterable entity. So now, so this is like sample method, but we need to expose this method as an API. How can we expose? By using REST. We are retrieving the users. That is what get part. Get part means which method we are going to use. HTTP method, get method, right? So same get mapping. So I'm trying to use the URL like get all users, anything your I mean uniquely identify the URL based on this URL. So this method will call and gives the data to you. Okay, let's save it. Okay, container starts. Okay, let's test it. So get user is giving our string. So get all users, our API is get all hyphen user. So writable error. So okay, somewhere it's missing something, we'll see. So user service, user repository, UST user model. So everything is user is there. So REST controller, we'll see whether it is coming here or not. Yeah, sys out coming inside, save it. Or you can restart the server. Sometimes it's not picking by automatically, you just stop the server, you can restart the server. Okay, application is started. Now we'll try to hit get all user, get all users, right? Not user, get all users, sorry. So copy this if you want any typos, and you can add it here. Get all users. Okay, data is okay, the empty data is coming. We'll see why empty data is coming. So coming inside. So okay, application is working, but not sure whether data is coming or not. Okay, we'll see. So here I'm trying to give user entity, iterable user entity. Instead of return, I can use it like this, iterable, okay, entities is equals to, and return entities, return entities. Okay, now we'll try to debug this controller. So see guys, how we will debug in STSR Eclipse. You just hit one debug point here. Okay, double click on this. So you can able to see one debug pointer. Then you can stop the server. You can restart the server by using debug. Here you can see some bug, okay, spider symbol, right, or some bug symbol. You just click that bug, so automatically your application is going to start in debugger mode. Okay, application started. Now hit the API. So if you see, now ID is blinks here. So go to here and switch to debugger mode. It is coming to like this. So now step by step execution. So wherever you have put this breakpointer, so till there it is stop the execution. Now execution is in our control. Okay, so if you find here, there will be 3 steps. One is step into, step over, and step return. Okay, go to step over or press F6. Okay, so now it is coming to here. So we need to travel to inside of this user get users method, so that we have to choose first step. Now step into. Okay, now it is going inside the service class and this method get users method, and it is trying to call this method user repository find all method. So go like step over. So it is executing and getting the data. Okay, now this step, line number 16 is completed. Now just put on mouse and over of entities. Just put your cursor on top of the entities. So it is giving 0 records. So 0 records. Okay, but in database the records are there. Yeah, data is there, but somewhere it's missing. We'll try to figure it out where it is missing. So find all. It's giving model entity, user entity. So user repository connects with CRUD repository, and we are passing user entity and long. Yeah, that is fine. And okay, that is fine. So the method which is there, entities user repository dot find all. So this is also fine. Return entities. Okay, fine. Maybe it's not reflected the data which is already available in MySQL. Okay, we'll try to figure it out. No issues. Okay, DB is connected, but the data is coming as empty because of that stored record is not able to find. Okay, okay, we'll try to figure it out. Meanwhile, we'll create one more API now. In controller, I'm trying to create public void get, okay, get user by ID. So just switch back to our J2E environment side from debugger mode. Okay, we'll try to figure it out why it is not coming. Empty data. So before executing this find all commands, I mean get all users API, we will create retrieving that record by using ID. Okay, so here we need to pass ID, so that okay, go to user service now and create method public void, we don't know what is the return type, and get user. This method will take argument as id, primary key id. Based on that, like if you see like MySQL or SQL query, we can use select. This is the query, right? Select star from user where id is equals to question mark. So we need to pass this id to here, and it will gives the recast which is matching with the id. Okay, same that type of command we are trying to use in Spring Boot data JPA. Okay, so no need to write any queries here, just as we know, use user repository dot. So if you want to fetch the record based on the id, we have already available, I mean method available, find by id. If you see third one, find by id, so id must not be null. The entity with the given id are optional, so it returns the optional entity class. From there we need to get the data. Okay, so find by id, so whatever id is coming from as an input, you can pass it here. Then it returns optional entity class. Okay, so if you see, find by id is giving optional entity, optional user entity. This is the return type of it. Okay, so optional user entity, entity is equals to optional entity, optional entity. Okay, from there, okay, just import this optional which is coming from Java 8. Okay, one of the feature optional class which is coming from Java 8. Okay, so optional class will mostly focusing on like handling the null exceptions, null pointer exceptions. So how can you do that? If we are checking whether data is available or not, so this optional entity, so we have a one method for this optional class, control v, sorry, control c, control v, optional entity, just a second. Okay, optional entity dot is preset. Okay, is preset is the method. This is tells like if the value is available or not. Okay, it returns false or true. Okay, if value is available, it returns true. If it is not available, it returns false. Another one is empty. Is empty is also same type of is preset, but it is a vice versa. So if a value is not present, then it returns true, and if the value is present, it returns false. Okay, so that I am using is preset. If value is available, then I'm trying to um, print entity. Let's see whether entity is printing or not. So how we will get the entity from, okay, this optional class. There is get method available for optional class dot get method, then our entity will come here. So I'm trying to return optional entity dot get. Now actual entity is come and return to our caller function or caller method. Okay, if it is not available, I'm simply returning null. So what is the return type here? Optional user entity, right? Control C, Control V, the return type. Okay, it is in still debugging mode. Okay, still it is debugger mode. We haven't stopped that. I think that's what the data is not coming. We'll see. Type mismatch. Sorry, this is optional, not optional entity. It is entity. Okay, user entity. So from optional entity, we are trying to get the entity by using get method. So now it returns the entity, and we are trying to return the entity as a response. Now see, now hit the API. See here, service already available. So your user service dot get user or find user. What is the name of the get user? Okay, get user we need to pass id. So we have id is 1 long, right? 1l. I'm trying to pass 1l by hard coding this, and I'm trying to return this. So return type is user entity.
That's cool. Save it, and we need to expose this API, right? Same. We are trying to retrieving part means we are using get mapping of what is the URL, get user. Okay, I think I just want to comment this. I commented the first API, get hyphen user. Save it, stop the server, or restart the server. Okay, Tomcat is started. So let's try to hit get, what is the API, get user. Okay, get user also gives empty response. Empty is displaying, but whether it's not committed the data, we'll see. Something like Hari 123, Hari 123, some number. Not saved. Okay, so I'm trying to save. You want, you can use commit also. Commit not required actually. COMMIT. Done it. 0 rows affected, 0 MS taken. Let me see. Okay, 2 records are there, and the database is user and user table is user. Everything is good. Somewhere we miss something. We'll try to understand that. So go to entity. Where is your entity? Model. User entity. Table name is user. Mapping correct. And ID, name, username and username, password, and column name is phone underscore number. Okay, everything correct only. Let me project clean. Clear. Stop the server. Somewhere we miss something small thing. Do you find anywhere anything, guys? So maybe any annotations which is coming from different stereotype entity, user repository. Okay, user controller, we are using REST controller, correct, which is coming from Spring framework only. So get user, get user, but still it is coming empty. User object is coming. Okay, we'll try to see one more configuration, like show SQL, like spring dot data source dot show SQL. Okay, let me get it this from Google. We'll see. So there is one configuration we can able to see the query also. Okay. MySQL configuration Spring Boot. Just hit like this, so it will give you the configuration. Spring Boot. So go to any website, any site. So there you can find the configuration, MySQL configuration. Okay, auto DDL, password is same, username is same, data source URL is same. So table name is same entity, and id generated strategy we are using identity, and okay, remaining as it is. Request mapping is not required. No, same only, but somewhere. Okay. MySQL driver class name in Spring Boot. Where is the application properties? Where is application properties here? This is the model class repository. They're not defined the application. Okay, here it is. So okay, driver class name MySQL same, and the dialect also same. Okay, let me add it. So driver already we added spring.data source.driver, and maybe dialect is also not required. We'll see. Let me restart it. Username and password is same. Okay. Web server failed to start, was already in use. Okay. Stop it and restart it. Okay. Driver class name. Okay, we'll try driver class name with different. This way. Control Shift Delete. Clear data. We'll try to clear cache and try one more time. No. Okay, we'll refer the before example, then we'll try to. Just a second. File, switch workspace. Let me stop the server. Let me try to see our existing applications like Docker. No, this is not correct. Space. File, switch workspace, Docker Spring Boot workspace. Okay, this is the workspace. For Docker example, we'll see somewhere maybe any dependency or any configuration will miss. Okay, so this is the configuration we have. Database configuration, and if you see same way user controller we have let users correct. So everything is same. User repository, find all by name, that is different. Any other configuration? No. So get the user, this everything is same. I don't see any difference. Somewhere we miss something. Generated value, strategy, generation type. Okay, user entity, the column. Okay, sorry, setter and getter methods we missed. per entity. Okay, got it. So go to our workspace, Spring Boot workshop workspace. Okay, it's like a small things, but sometimes we missed the small things and typos, but finding those things is very complex. Okay, so go to your entity class, user entity. So we are just declaring only attributes. We need to set the data and get that. Since we are giving private keyboard, it is hiding the data, right? So we can I mean Spring cannot able to access these variables and assign the data. That's what it is displaying like empty. So that we need to provide setter and getter methods for this entity class, like this private variables. Okay, how we will do that? So you don't want to like create manually. We have like src, like source. Go to source, here generate getter and setters. Go to here and select all and hit generate button. So all generate all setter and getter methods is generated automatically by the IDE itself. Okay, now restart the application. Okay, application is started. Now let's try to hit. See, now the record is coming. Okay, based on the ID. Okay, what is our find all API? Get all users API. Go to there, user controller. So this is the get all users API. So copy it, go here, control V and hit enter. See, it is coming with array format. Like this is one object and this is one object, like one name and username, password and phone number. Same like second one, second record. It is coming as a so this representation is called as a JSON representation. Okay, this is like JSON format, right? So same way this URL we need to call from Angular and we'll get this data, and in Angular we need to parse this data and will display as a table, like ID, name, username, password, phone number. Under the column names we need to display these values. Okay, so Spring Boot will return only JSON formats, so it won't have like any UI in Spring Boot. Spring Boot ultimately it returns only JSON formats. So in Angular we'll fetch this data and we'll format it and will display in Angular. Okay, so so we have tested two APIs, like get all users and get users by ID, but the problem is here we are hard coding this ID, correct? So that we have, so this is also we need to get it from URL. So I don't want to hard code this URL, because of, for example, I want to fetch the record which is ID is 2. It's not coming, right, since I am hard coding here. So that what I have to do, I'm taking as a input argument here, so long ID. So this ID I'm passing, but as part of the API endpoint, how can I pass this ID? That's what query parameters and path parameters comes into picture. Most important interview question: path parameter or path variable and query parameter, query param or query query parameter. Okay, so what is query parameter and what is path variable? For example, our URL is looks like http:// localhost:3306 or any port, no issue. Okay, slash, so our endpoint URL get user control C. Okay, so I need to pass this ID as query parameter. It means in the URL itself we can use question mark and identifier ID is equals to 1. This is called query parameter. Okay, as we know in earlier application development, this is like query parameter. By passing the data from one page to another page, we are using query parameter. Same way we need to pass as part of the URL. Okay, id equal to 1, then automatically it will coming to here. How it will come? We need to tell to the Spring, hey Spring, if the value is coming as part of the query parameter id, just take the value and assign this id variable. How can I do that? That's what one more annotation will comes into picture, that is called @query param, QUERI. So QUERI, sorry, it's not query, it's a request. So request parameter, because of query parameter is part of the rest and Jersey implementation. So we are using Spring REST, right? That's what the name of query parameter it changed to request parameter. Okay, just make sure request param. Okay, request parameter. So just name changing, that's all. If you use like Jersey dependency, so you can use query parameter. So if you since we are using REST controller, automatically Spring REST is dependency available, so that the name of this is request parameter. If you see request parameter is coming from which framework, Spring framework dot web dot bind annotation request parameter. Okay, request parameter is coming from Spring framework. Okay, this is what we will get from the UI. So save it. So okay, it's restarted. Now see get user API, get user. If you hit, it will give widable error page because of we need to pass request parameter question mark id is equals to 1. Okay, the first record is coming which is matching with 1 id. Okay, if you give 2, it will give second record Hari, right? So fetch by find by id. So there is no query we have used here. So since we are using Spring Boot data JPA, automatically it will fetch the data and gives to us. There is no JDBC logic and connectivity logic we have, and there is no predefined methods and result sets available and parsing logics available. Okay, Spring Boot takes care everything. Okay, so for path parameter I will try to write one more API. For example, path parameter, how it's look like, this is our API. So last one guys, just 5 minutes I will complete this. So this is the our URL. So I need to pass id as path parameter. Path parameter means you can use another slash and use id like 1. So this is like path parameter. So inside the path itself we need to provide the data. If it is a query parameter, we need to add question mark id and you have to pass the value of it. Okay, so for here instead of id we will try to fetch the data by using name. Okay, I will create one more API quickly. So it will return user entity get user by name @get mapping, and our URL is get user. No, it would be same, no issues, but here I am taking name, string name. So this name I need to take it from path, right? That's what I am using path variable. Okay, there is annotation path variable. So get user slash the path variable, here the placeholder I need to mention here. So after get user, whatever the data we have provided, that data we need to we tell to the Spring just take the data and assign to this name variable. That's what path variable we have added. So both, if it is both similar, so no need to add. Otherwise, if this name and this name is different, so you have to explicitly mention that name double equals to whatever here you have identifier, copy it and paste it here. Okay, now go to service and create method public user entity get user no issue, same this is called like method overloading. It means same method name with different arguments. Okay, I think you have learned in core Java. String name. Okay, based on the name. So let's create the method. So here we have repository user repository dot. So find all by name, right? But by default methods are available these three. Find all will retrieve all the data. Find all by id, it returns based on the id, and it returns multiple data if it is id is non-primary key. If it is find by id means based on the id it returns single user entity, single record. Okay, but there is no name, find all by name. So how can we do that? How can we create, do we need to create the queries? No, not required. So go to repository, you have to create one abstract method. Okay, user defined abstract method. Since it is a interface, I mean we won't create any method with data, right? So we just want to create like abstract method. How we will do that? So the method should be public, return type should be user entity. Okay, so see the framing, find all, I need all data. Okay, find all users by name. That's all. Automatically based on this naming convention it is created. I mean the query will generates and automatically hits the database. See how much simpler it is when compared to JDBC logic. Okay, only single method. Find means retrieve, all means everything, user means our table name or entity name, users by name based on the name. So name means it is taking name as an input, right? String name, just provide and hit semicolon. This is called abstract method. There is no implementation here. Implementation automatically Spring will generates at runtime. No need to worry about it. Okay, so go to service and call that method like find what is the method name? Find all users name. Okay, so this name we are providing here and we will try to return this. Simply return here and go to controller again and we can call return user service dot get users with name. We have to pass as part of the path parameter. Okay, let's save it. We'll see. Okay, so copy this path and go to your browser and just slash control V, get user. What is the path? So path parameter you have to give the name of the database. What is the name here? For example, funny, P capital. So I'm trying to give PHAN, funny. Okay, you are able to get the data based on the name. Okay, let's fetch another one. What is the second name? Like Hari, right? HRA, H capital, HRI, Hari. Okay, Hari is coming. If it is more than like more records, for example, just see read only user and hit one more thing, 3 and here for example same I am trying to give Hari, Hari 222, Hari 222, so something number. So maybe names may be same, right? So it should not restrict with single name. So both two Hari are available, two records are available. So in the same way, if you hit Hari, let's see again. What is the error we are getting here? The application has no explicit mapping for error. Okay, let's see the exception. Okay. In that case, our repository written only one entity, but in our case two records are available. It means list of entities we need, right? So see list of user entity. I think you got the bug now. Okay, earlier we are just return type only one user entity, but when we hit as Hari as a name, we have two entities like two records in the database. Okay, but we have mentioned only one single user entity. That's what it is providing ambiguity. Okay, that's what I am adding. List of user entities, it means whatever, how many number of records available, just written all the records which is matched with the name. That's what I'm telling to Spring now. So go to user service, same add, instead of single entity just add list of entities, list of user entities. So import java.util. So go to controller, and here also just use list of user entities, import. Cool. Let's see control shift s. See the console. Okay, it's restarted. So go to your hurry. Now see, it is come id is second record and third record, both are coming. Okay, so this is about the retrieval operations, guys. So let me remove this. Okay, here one more standard I am trying to tell you. Whenever you are trying to create any API controller, you have to use @request mapping, so that, for example, since it is a user controller, you have to represent this entire controller as unique, so that you can use request mapping annotation and provide one unique name to it. Okay, like name equals to user. I mean, this is the starting point of the URL. Okay, I will show you, no issue. So it's started. So if we hit same URL again, okay, still it is coming. Maybe you can remove this request mapping. Okay, it's loading. Okay, see, whiteable error page 404. So it said like it's not found the get user hurry endpoint. So you have to add before the endpoint user, you have to add, so that all endpoints which is there inside the user controller represent like user service, user microservice. Okay, so like users get user, so this get user and get all users, like get user by name, so everything is belonging to user interface, like user service, user microservice. That's what we are using this request mapping. If you add it before the user, then our endpoint is working. So this is a standard. So you have to, whatever controller, whatever service you are trying to build, that I mean, you have to recognize, or you have to wrap that entire endpoints in one single URL or endpoint URL. That is called request mapping. So since it is a user controller, user API, so I have to create user as part of the root URL. So user slash get user, user slash get all users, user slash get user of our path parameter. Okay, so if you want to fetch get all users, so you have to write get after user, you have to use get all users and hit enter, so it will display all three records to you. Okay, so this is about the retrieval part, guys. So for retrieval part is I mean, pretty much easy. I hope you understand the flow. The controller will calls to service and service calls to repository. So probably if you confuse these methods, you just remove this bloody stuff, this entire stuff. You just simply give repository dot get id. So you just simply add it like this. Open entity this is also not required, just get. That's all. This is single line now, but if you want for understanding, you can use the all stuff. Okay, so this is also not required. So see, in single line complete this stuff. So here also no need to write this unnecessary code. Within single line you can able to do your CRUD operations simply. Okay, see what is the logic here when compared to JDBC and JTE application, how much logic you are written, and when compared to here, only single line of code you have written. Okay, your CRUD operations is working now, right? So let's save it. So let's start. Let me test we are removing right as a semester Java. Okay, port is already used. Okay, let me stop it. Now restart the app. Okay, application running fine, and hit enter. See, data is coming. Get user colon id equals to 3. If you want to fetch third record will come. If you want to fetch as part of the name which is coming as funny, user slash funny, so funny record is coming. So 3 retrieval and searching operations done. So we'll try to understand remaining update, delete and post operations. Post means saving operations, how we will store the data from the UI, like from Spring Boot. And so there we need definitely, since it is a get operations, we are everything is testing in browser, but whereas in post and update operations, delete operations, we need postman tool. So I think I will show you postman. So this is the postman tool. So if you are most enthusiastic and complete this, if you completed this example, then you can focusing on this postman, try to install this postman while coming for, I mean, next session, so that I will explain how we will trigger or consume our endpoints through postman. Can you see here? So okay, you have to sign in Google. Make sure once you install the postman, you have to sign in the postman. So okay, see, so these are all the endpoints. Sign out, remove local data. Okay, okay, just ignore it as a, okay, you can able to see, right? So these are all the endpoints. See, lot of endpoints we have. So postman is act as a client to send the request and get the responses, and everything, get, put, post, everything is available. So we can work on this postman from later onwards. So if you learn this, so you can add this tool as part of your resume. And yeah, damn sure you are able to ready your applications and you are ready to get your job, if you like Java developer role. Okay, if any organization. Okay, this is the most things happening in any industry. So maximum this CRUD operations, maximum CRUD operations only we have. Once you learn, once you familiar with CRUD operations in Spring Boot, so yeah, you are ready with doing experience job in any organization. Okay, so we'll see for next session, we'll try to cover this post and other related operations, and we'll try to integrate these Spring Boot endpoints to our Angular application, and we'll call and how we will fetch the data by using Angular, and we'll display this data, whatever Angular data is displaying, same data will display with graphical manner in the browser by using Angular. So end-to-end application development will complete it next session. Okay, yeah, that's all guys. Any doubts till here? So yeah, you can note it down these short points. I think there is no much thing, so maybe you can note it down or get screenshot for these annotations, and yeah, that will be useful for you. So a lot of stuff we have, but since it is a quick API development, so we have generate simple steps. So when you go like different queries and joins we have, right? For that different way we have to write the queries and table method names inside the repository. Those will maybe based on your interest, so that I will create one use case for that and will try to explain you. Okay, yeah, anything else? Can you comment guys? Everything okay, or do you have any queries? Okay, thank you so much guys, thank you for joining. We'll let you know if you have any doubts. Okay.